Chapter 3 Cheater, Cheater, Pumpkin Eater. When we got on the bus, Bobby and I sat down next to each other in a seat. Jessie sat right across from us. The minute Max stepped onto the bus, I whispered to myself, "Don't sit near me. Don't sit near me." But of course, he had to take the seat right behind me. "Great," I whispered to Robbie. "Well, look who's here," said Max, leaning over the seat and sticking his face in mine. "It's baby Freddie." "Freddie is not a baby," said Jessie. "Says who?" said Max. "Says me," said Jessie. "Don't you remember he slid down the fire pole on our field trip to the fire station? Babies don't do that." "Right," said Robbie. "I didn't see you do that, Max." "Well, I've done it before," said Max. Just then, Mrs. Wishy said, "Everyone needs to sit down so the bus can start moving." Max started to say something, but Mrs. Wishy walked by and asked him to sit back down in his seat. The bus started to pull out of the school parking lot. "I'm so excited to go to the orchard," said Jessie. "I've never been to one before." "You're going to love it," I said. "It's such fun. It's so much fun to pick the apples right off the tree." "And wait until you taste one," said Robbie. "A fresh apple from the orchard is much better than one from the supermarket." Jessie licked her lips. "I think I can taste it already." Chloe turned around in her seat. "What are you eating?" "There's no eating on the bus. That was one of the rules." "For your information, Miss Busybody," said Jessie, "we aren't eating anything. We were just talking about apples." "Oh," said Chloe. "You know what's the best thing to make with fresh apples?" said Robbie. "Apple crisp," I said. "No, apple sauce," said Robbie. "Every year, my mom makes homemade applesauce with the apples we pick from the orchard." "I don't think I've had homemade applesauce before," said Jessie. "I'll bring you some to try," said Robbie. "It's delicious." "Well, my mom makes the best apple crisp with the apples we pick every year," I said. "In fact, one year she even won first prize at the fall festival for her apple crisp." "That sounds yummy too," said Jessie. "Is it like apple pie? Because I love apple pie with vanilla ice cream." "It is a lot like apple pie," I said. "I like the apple crisp when it's warm and the ice cream melts just a little bit." "Hey guys, can we stop talking about this?" said Robbie. "Making me hungry." We all laughed. "I know what you mean," I said. "What should we talk about?" asked Jessie. "So here's what like apple pie or some apple crisp might look like. The apples are here and there's a crust and then there's some ice cream on top." "I know," I said. "How about the treasure hunt?" "That sounds so cool," said Robbie. "I think it will be hard to find the apple, though." "Why?" I said. "Because it's going to be really well camouflaged." Robbie is a science genius and he always uses these big words. Could you please speak English, Einstein? What does camouflaged mean?" "It means it's the same color as its environment, so it blends in really well and it's hard to see." "You mean like how the design on a butterfly helps it blend in with the flowers?" asked Jessie. "Exactly," said Robbie. "I have really good eyes," said Jessie. "I bet I can find the special apple, even if it is camouflaged." "Not if I do first," I said. "Dream on, ding dong," said Max. "You haven't got a chance." "Why not?" said Jessie. "Because I'm going to find it first." "Oh, really?" said Jessie. "Yeah, really," said Max. Chloe turned around in her seat. "You're such a bragger, Max. The only way you will find it first is if you cheat, and we all know that you are a cheater." "I am not!" Max yelled. "Oh, yes, you are. Every time there's a contest, you cheat," said Chloe. "I do not!" yelled Max. "Yes, you do," said Chloe. "You're a cheater, cheater, pumpkin eater." Max jumped out of his seat and was about to grab Chloe when Mrs. Wishy stopped him. "Max, you need to go back to your seat and sit down right now," said Mrs. Wishy. "But right now." said Mrs. Bushy. Max plopped back down into his seat with the help of Mrs. Bushy. Now, what is all the yelling about? She called me a cheater, Max said, pointing to Chloe. Because he is, said Chloe. That's not very nice to say, Chloe, said Mrs. Wishy. Would you please tell Max you're sorry? Chloe just stared at Max. Chloe, I'm waiting, said Mrs. Wishy. Yeah, and I'm waiting, said Max. I'm sorry, Chloe whispered. What did you say? Max said. I didn't hear you. Sorry, she said, and slid back down in her seat. Now, I don't want any more yelling, said Mrs. Wishy. And Max, you need to stay in your seat, understand? Yes, mumbled Max. Mrs. Wishybot walked back to the front of the bus. We are almost there, boys and girls, she said. If you look out the windows right now, you can see the sign for Apple Hill Orchard. We just turn right here, drive up that road, and we'll be there. In fact, I think I see Farmer Bob waiting for us at the top of the hill. Get ready for an apple adventure.